In the farthest reaches of eastern Siberia, the land of Yakutia stretches beneath a sky of pale gold and icy blue. Here, the earth is locked in winter's grasp for most of the year, and the landscape is a vast, unbroken expanse of snow and silence. The ground glitters with ice, and beneath the surface, ancient diamonds lie hidden, silent witnesses to millennia of cold. The air is razor-sharp, so cold it crackles, and every breath seems to freeze before it can escape. Winter reigns supreme, sculpting the land with blizzards and silence. Temperatures plunge to -71 degrees Celsius, transforming the world into a realm of endless white and shifting shadows. The only sounds are the whisper of wind and the distant groan of ice. Wildlife here is rare and elusive, perfectly adapted to the cold. The Arctic fox glides through drifts, reindeer traverse the icy tundra, and the great grey owl waits in stillness, all moving in harmony with the frozen world. Every creature is a master of survival, their lives shaped by the rhythm of the seasons and the relentless cold. Tracks in the snow tell silent stories of nightly hunts and hidden shelters. In this kingdom of ice and quiet endurance, the land itself is alive with secrets. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, as if the wilderness is holding its breath, waiting for the next chapter in its ancient story to unfold. In the heart of Siberia, where winter reigns for most of the year, the land is sculpted by relentless cold and silence. Here, the wind is a constant companion, shaping the snow into drifts that swallow the forest floor and polishing the ice that seals rivers for months on end. The larch and pine trees stand as silent witnesses, their branches heavy with snow creaking softly in the biting wind. Survival here is a daily test, a delicate balance between hunger and shelter, movement and stillness. The red fox curls tightly in a hollow, conserving warmth as its breath rises in small clouds. The Siberian hare, nearly invisible against the snow, listens for the soft crunch of approaching danger. The sable, nimble and alert, slips through the undergrowth, its keen senses guiding it to hidden caches of food. Each species has honed its own rituals for enduring the cold. Reindeer dig tirelessly through the snow, searching for the lichen that sustains them. Wolves travel in disciplined lines, conserving energy and communicating through subtle gestures and howls that echo across the ice. Ptarmigan gather in tight clusters, their feathers fluffed to trap precious warmth hidden beneath the shelter of drooping branches. Beneath the ice, otters glide silently, their bodies adapted to the freezing water as they hunt for fish in the dark. Deep in hidden dens, brown bears slumber, their heartbeats slowed to a winter rhythm, surviving on stored fat until the thaw. The wolverine, fierce and solitary, roams vast distances, its broad paws carrying it over snowdrifts in search of carrion or prey. The environment itself is both adversary and provider. Frost clings to every surface, forming intricate patterns on fur and bark. Snow falls in thick, silent curtains, muffling the world and forcing all creatures to move with caution and purpose. The raven, ever watchful, surveys the land from above, its calls breaking the hush of the endless white. Every day is a tapestry of small victories and narrow escapes. The lynx moves with silent precision, its padded feet barely leaving a trace. The ermine, transformed by its winter coat, darts unseen between drifts. Even the squirrel, persistent and clever, uncovers buried stores of food, its survival dependent on memory and luck. As night falls, the world transforms. Tracks wind through the snow, telling silent stories of passage and pursuit. The wolf's howl carries far in the stillness, a reminder of the wild order that governs this place. Under the pale light of the moon and stars, the Siberian wilderness endures, harsh, beautiful, and alive with the quiet struggle of survival. In this world carved from winter, every creature is both vulnerable and resilient, shaped by the demands of the land. Their lives are woven into the fabric of Siberia itself, a testament to adaptation, endurance, and the intricate beauty of existence in one of the world's most formidable environments. The first flakes drifted down, delicate and silent, but soon the sky unleashed a torrent, snow swirling in wild, relentless spirals, blanketing the taiga in a shroud of white. Trees groaned as their limbs bowed under the gathering weight, while the river's surface disappeared beneath a seamless sheet of white, its icy breath muffled by the storm. Animals adapted to the cold hunkered down. Hares vanished into the drifts, wolves became shadows gliding through the whiteout, and birds burrowed deep for warmth. The landscape transformed, tracks vanished, hollows filled, and the world became a seamless expanse of white, sculpted by the wind into ever-changing forms. Life retreated into pockets of shelter. An owl braced against the gale, elk pressed together for warmth, and squirrels curled in hidden hollows, all waiting for the storm to pass. The purga's white veil descended, erasing boundaries and blurring the world into a realm of silence and cold, where only the hardiest survived and the wilderness held its breath. The Siberian night was a living thing. Wind shrieked through the black pines, snowflakes hurled sideways in endless waves, and the world was reduced to shifting shadows and the relentless roar of the storm. In this chaos, a solitary figure moved, a massive brown bear, its fur matted with ice, each breath steaming in the frigid air. The bear's movements were slow, deliberate, every muscle straining against the deep drifts. Its paws, broad and furred, pressed into the snow, leaving prints that quickly vanished beneath the swirling white. The animal's head swung low, nostrils flaring as it searched for any sign of shelter or safety, the cub dangling limply from its jaws. The blizzard battered the bear's body, ice clinging to its flanks and snout. Its eyes, dark and alert, flicked from shadow to shadow, wary of hidden dangers. Wolves' hunger, the cold itself. The cub whimpered softly, its tiny body shivering, but the mother pressed on, driven by instinct older than memory. The bear paused beneath a snow-laden spruce, sides heaving, and shook itself, sending a spray of ice into the wind. It sniffed the air, catching the faintest trace of warmth, smoke perhaps, or the scent of something living. The animal's ears twitched, listening for threats, but the storm drowned out all but the closest sounds. With a low grunt, the bear resumed its journey, muscles rippling beneath its thick winter coat. The cub, sensing its mother's determination, curled tighter, eyes squeezed shut against the biting wind. The bear's path was erratic, weaving between snow-buried logs and wind-scoured rocks, always seeking the path of least resistance. The storm intensified, snowflakes stinging the bear's eyes, but it pressed forward, driven by the primal need to protect its young. Its claws scraped against frozen earth, sometimes breaking through to the softer ground beneath, sometimes slipping on hidden ice. The animal's breath came in ragged bursts, each exhale a cloud in the darkness. Somewhere in the distance, a tree cracked under the weight of snow, but the bear did not flinch. Its focus was absolute, its senses tuned to survival. The cub whimpered again, and the mother shifted her grip, careful not to harm her offspring, even as exhaustion threatened to overwhelm her. The bear's shadow flickered across the snow, merging with the storm, a fleeting silhouette in a world of white and grey. It moved with the silent determination of a creature that had weathered countless winters, its every step a testament to the harsh realities of life in the Siberian wilderness. In the heart of the blizzard, the bear and her cub became part of the storm itself, creatures shaped by the land, enduring, adapting, and surviving against all odds. The wilderness offered no comfort, only the promise of another dawn for those strong enough to endure the night. In the heart of the Siberian wilderness, a mother bear pressed forward through the relentless blizzard, her breath steaming in the frigid air. Each step was a struggle, her body weakened by hunger and exhaustion, But she would not falter, not with her cub at her side. The mother's eyes, deep and dark, shimmered with a silent plea, an unspoken cry for mercy from the wild. She nudged her cub closer, her heart pounding with fear and hope, desperate for shelter, for warmth, for a chance at survival. The wind screamed through the trees, swirling snow into blinding sheets. The mother bear's body ached, but she pressed on, her instincts driving her to protect her cub at any cost. The cub whimpered softly, its voice lost in the storm, trusting its mother's strength. In that frozen silence, the mother bear's gaze lifted to the sky, her soul reaching out to the wilderness itself. She asked for nothing but a chance, a moment of kindness from the world that had grown so cold. Her plea was silent, but it echoed through the snow, a testament to the fierce love that bound her to her cub. As the blizzard raged on, the mother bear's silent plea lingered in the air, a fragile hope carried on the wind, that somewhere in the endless white, mercy might be found. In the heart of the Siberian storm, the wild creatures of the taiga sought refuge from the biting wind and swirling snow. A red fox slipped quietly beneath a fallen log, its breath steaming in the frigid air, while a snowshoe hare burrowed deep into a drift, carving out a pocket of warmth. In a hidden den, a family of sable pressed close, their sleek fur glistening with frost, sharing body heat as the wind howled above. High in the branches, bullfinches and chickadees fluffed their feathers, huddling side by side, tiny bodies trembling but resilient against the cold. A lynx hidden in a dense thicket curled its powerful body into a tight ball, tail wrapped over its nose, eyes half closed in a rare moment of peace. Out on the open tundra, a herd of reindeer clustered tightly, calves nestled between sturdy adults, their collective warmth a shield against the relentless chill. In the shelter of a hollow tree, an owl perched silently, wings tucked close, watching the snow drift past, with slow, steady blinks. A wolf pack, their bodies pressed together in a shallow pit, breathed in unison, the warmth of the group keeping the cold at bay. Beneath the snow, an ermine wove through a labyrinth of tunnels, pausing in a tiny chamber where the air was still and safe. Deep in an earthen den, bear cubs nestled together, their tiny bodies rising and falling with each gentle breath, the earth itself lending its warmth. Outside, the storm raged on, but within these hidden shelters, the fragile heartbeat of life endured, each creature finding comfort in the embrace of the wild. The blizzard raged for 2 relentless days, blanketing the taiga in a thick, icy silence. In the heart of the storm, 2 wolf pups, siblings, barely old enough to fend for themselves, pressed close beneath the shelter of a fallen tree, their bodies trembling with cold and fear. The wind howled, but the pups found warmth in each other's presence, instinctively sharing body heat. Their small whimpers were muffled by the snow, but their eyes remained alert, watching the shifting shadows and listening for any sign of their pack. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, yet they took turns keeping watch, noses twitching as they caught the faintest scents carried by the wind. When one pup shivered, the other would nuzzle closer, offering silent reassurance. As the storm eased, the world outside their shelter sparkled with new frost. The pups emerged cautiously, their paws sinking into the deep snow. They moved as one, noses to the ground, searching for familiar trails and the distant scent of their family. In the days that followed, their bond deepened. They learned to hunt together, to read the subtle language of the forest, and to trust the rhythm of each other's heartbeat. Every shared meal, every playful chase, every night spent curled together beneath the stars wove them closer. In the Siberian frost, survival demanded unity. The pups' connection was not just companionship, it was a lifeline, a promise that neither would face the wilderness alone. Their bond, forged in the heart of winter, was as enduring as the land itself. In the heart of Siberia, After the storm's fury has passed, the wilderness awakens in a symphony of subtle, vibrant life. The snow, deep and immaculate, muffles the world, yet beneath its surface, the land pulses with hidden energy. Sunlight scatters across the drifts, igniting a million points of light, while the air is crisp and alive with possibility. The first to break the silence is the red fox, its russet coat a flash of color against the white. It moves with practiced grace, ears pricked to the faintest rustle beneath the snow, perhaps the scurry of a vole or the distant thump of a snowshoe hare. Nearby, a sable slips like a shadow between the trees, its keen nose searching for the scent of prey. Snowshoe hares emerge, their oversized feet keeping them atop the powder as they bound from thicket to thicket. An ermine, nearly invisible in its winter-white coat, darts from its burrow, pausing to survey the world before vanishing again into the undergrowth. Above, the air is alive with the calls of birds. The Siberian jay flits from branch to branch, its song a bright note in the hush. A great grey owl, silent and regal, perches on a snow-laden limb, its gaze piercing the undergrowth for the faintest sign of life. In the distance, a pack of wolves moves with purpose, their breath rising in clouds as they weave through the trees. Their low, haunting howls ripple across the landscape, answered by the soft bugle of elk foraging in a clearing, their antlers etched against the pale sky. The lynx, elusive and silent, stalks through the drifts, its tufted ears twitching at every sound. High above, a pine marten scampers along a branch, its tiny claws gripping the bark as it surveys the world below. Ravens wheel overhead, their croaks echoing across the open spaces, while the snow itself is a living record, etched with the tracks of countless creatures, each telling a story of survival and movement in the frozen wild. Along the riverbanks, where the ice gives way to flowing water, an otter slides gleefully down a snowy slope, vanishing beneath the surface with barely a ripple. Not far away, the entrance to a bear's den steams gently, a quiet promise that life endures even in the deepest cold. The mountains loom in the distance, their peaks wreathed in blowing snow, while at their feet resilient lichens and mosses cling to life on frost-bitten stones, a testament to endurance in the harshest season. As dawn breaks, golden light spills through the trees, illuminating the wild in all its raw, untamed beauty. Here every sound, the whisper of wind, the call of a bird, the distant howl of a wolf, becomes an echo of the wild, a living chorus that celebrates the enduring spirit of Siberia's animals and the land they call home. In the heart of the Siberian taiga, the bear's presence lingered long after her heavy paw prints faded from the soft earth. Each dawn the forest awoke to the subtle signs of her passing. Fur caught on low branches, the musky scent of her coat woven into the wind. The bear's gift was not only food, but a ritual, delicate offerings left with intention, a silent exchange between animal and earth. Other creatures gathered, drawn by the scent, foxes, birds and insects, each taking their share, each playing a part in the cycle of giving. The bear watched from the shadows, her dark eyes reflecting the quiet understanding that in this wild place generosity ripples outward. She moved through the forest with purpose, her actions shaping the lives of countless unseen neighbors, her gifts nourishing, her restraint a lesson in coexistence. In the hush beneath the pines, the bear's presence was a promise that the land remembers every kindness and every life is bound to another. As winter deepened, her tracks filled with snow, but the memory of her gifts lingered, echoes of warmth in the cold, a testament to the wild's silent gratitude. In the endless hush of the taiga, the bear's gift endured, woven into the rhythm of the land, a quiet bond between all who call the forest home. Beneath the pale hush of dawn, the Siberian taiga stirs to a subtle shift, the first breath of spring. The iron grip of winter loosens, and the white silence begins to crack with promise. Ice that once armored every branch and stream softens, surrendering to the sun's patient touch. Droplets form along needles and twigs, glinting like 1,000 tiny jewels before tumbling to earth. Gap threes. The snow recedes in slow, uneven waves, revealing dark loam and tangled roots. Where frost once ruled, moss and lichen awaken, painting the forest floor in emerald and gold. Patches of wildflowers, brave and tentative, pierce the thawed soil, their petals trembling in the cool breeze. Gap threes. In the undergrowth, voles and shrews emerge from hidden tunnels, their tiny bodies quick with the urgency of hunger. Above, the first thrushes return, their songs threading through the branches, a delicate chorus announcing the season's change. Foxes slip from their dens, coats shedding the last vestiges of winter, snouts lifted to the scent of damp earth and new life. Gap threes. Streams, once silent under glassy ice, awaken in a rush, water carving fresh paths, carrying silt and memory through the forest. Frogs, dormant for months, surface at the edges of thawed ponds, their calls echoing across the awakening land. Gap threes. The great bear, roused from her winter sleep, emerges into a world transformed. Her fur is matted, her eyes blinking against the sudden light. She moves slowly, paws sinking into the softened ground, nose searching for the first green shoots and the promise of nourishment. Gap threes. Overhead, the sky shifts from slate to azure, clouds drifting in lazy procession. The air is threaded with the scent of growth, of birch and pine, of wet earth and possibility. Every creature, great and small, is drawn into the dance of renewal. The taiga, once still and silent, pulses with life and anticipation. Gap threes. As the days lengthen, the land remembers the bear's winter gifts, now repaid in abundance. In the gentle riot of spring, every life is woven tighter together, each heartbeat echoing the thaw's awakening. The forest is alive with hope, transformed by the quiet miracle of return. Gap twos. As spring deepens, the Siberian wilderness becomes a crossroads of ancient instinct and restless movement. Across sprawling tundra and shadowed forest, the great migrations begin, a silent exodus written in the bones of countless creatures. Gap threes. High above, threads of black etch the sky cranes and geese in disciplined formation, wings beating in perfect time. Driven by the memory of distant wetlands, they ride invisible rivers of air, braving sudden storms and shifting winds. Their calls, a tapestry of longing, echo from cloud to cloud, guiding stragglers home. Gap threes. On the ground, herds of reindeer surge across the thawing landscape. Hooves churn the sodden earth, each step a testament to endurance. They navigate ancient trails, threading between stands of birch and across icy rivers swollen with meltwater. Calves stumble at their mothers' sides, learning the rhythm of migration with each hesitant stride. Gap threes. In the rivers, schools of salmon pulse upstream, muscle and memory propelling them toward gravel beds where life will begin anew. They leap against the current, scales flashing in the filtered sunlight, dodging hungry pike and the watchful eyes of eagles perched above. Gap threes. The journey is perilous. Wolves shadow the reindeer, their movements synchronized, patient and precise. Hunger sharpens every sense. One misstep, one moment of weakness, and the chase is on. In the air, raptors wheel and dive, singling out the weary and the weak. Gap threes. The land itself is in flux. Patches of snow linger in shaded hollows, while elsewhere the ground is slick with mud and new growth. Swollen streams cut fresh channels, forcing travelers to detour or brave icy crossings. Old trails vanish beneath fallen trees or sudden floods. Instinct and memory must adapt to a world remade by the thaw. Gap threes. Yet for every hardship there is abundance. Meadows burst with wildflowers and tender shoots. Insects rise in shimmering clouds, a feast for birds newly returned from the south. The air is alive with movement, wings fluttering, hooves pounding, fins slicing through water, all drawn by the promise of life renewed. Gap threes. As dusk falls, the forest hushes, migrants rest where they can, nests tucked in reeds, herds clustered in the shelter of low hills, fish drifting in dark pools. For a moment the land breathes in unison, every heartbeat aligned with the ancient pulse of migration. In the Siberian wild, the journey is never-ending, and the dance of survival begins anew with every season's change. In Gap 2s, while the surface of Siberia teems with the drama of great migrations, another world endures just beneath the snow, a realm hidden from the sun where life persists in miniature and in silence. Gap 3s. Under the white mantle, the snow forms a delicate ceiling, trapping warmth and muffling sound. Here the subnivean zone awakens, a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers carved by the smallest of survivors. Gap 3s. Voles and lemmings scurry through these secret corridors, their bodies pressed low, fur thick against the cold. They feast on caches of seeds and roots, gnawing quietly, ever wary of shadows passing overhead. The snow above them is both shield and snare, protecting from the bitter wind, yet betraying their presence to sharp-eyed owls who listen for the faintest rustle. Gap 3s. Spiders and beetles, adapted to the chill, stir in pockets of warmth left by decomposing leaves. Some enter a state of suspended animation, diapause, pausing life itself until the thaw. Others creep slowly, their bodies laced with antifreeze proteins, allowing them to move where ice crystals would spell doom for less hardy creatures. Gap 3s. Tiny springtails leap through the damp darkness, feeding on fungi and decaying matter. Their presence aerates the soil, nourishing the roots of grasses that wait for spring's return. In hidden chambers, ants cluster together, sharing heat, their queen at the center, dormant but alive, the promise of a new colony carried through the cold. Gap 3s. Even here beneath the snow, the cycle of life and death continues. Shrews hunt relentlessly, their high metabolism driving them to seek prey in every corner, never resting, always searching. Occasionally a tunnel collapses, sealing off a passage, forcing its inhabitants to dig anew. A quiet struggle, unseen but vital. Gap 3s. This hidden ecosystem is the engine of the taiga. As winter wanes, the snow melts from beneath, releasing nutrients and awakening roots. The activity of these small creatures, persistent and unseen, prepares the land for the riot of growth to come. Gap 3s. Beneath the frozen blanket, life never truly sleeps. It endures, adapts, and quietly shapes the wild Siberian spring. Gap 2's night falls across the endless Siberian expanse, and the world hushes beneath the lingering chill. Then, as if on a silent cue, the heavens awaken. Ribbons of emerald and violet unfurl across the sky, the aurora borealis weaving its luminous spell. Gap 3s. The snowy landscape below becomes a living canvas, bathed in shifting hues that ripple over icy rivers and ancient pines. Each flicker of light sets the frost aglow, glimmering on the crystalline branches and turning the snowdrifts into shimmering seas. Gap 3s. In the silent forest, a herd of reindeer pauses, their breath pluming in the cold air as they gaze upward. The aurora dances in their dark, reflective eyes. For a moment, even the wary are still. Wolves nestled together in a hollow, their fur glowing faintly green beneath the spectral waves. An owl perches high in a larch, feathers fluffed, head tilted to watch the sky's silent spectacle. Gap 3s. Far beneath the open tundra, burrowing creatures sense the celestial storm. Foxes venturing from their dens dart through the ghostly light, their coats gilded by the aurora's touch. The snow glows beneath their paws, each step tracing fleeting patterns in a world transformed. Gap 3s. The river, locked in ice, reflects the sky's colors in fractured, prismatic shards. Fish beneath the frozen surface stir, sensing subtle changes in the electric air, the aurora's shifting energy pulsing through the water. Above, a silent lynx pads through the underbrush, its fur haloed by the cosmic glow, every movement rendered dreamlike and surreal. Gap threes. Even the trees seem to respond, their needles catching the light in 1,000 tiny mirrors. The forest is alive with color, the ordinary transmuted into the extraordinary by this celestial ballet. The cold is forgotten. For a few precious hours, the wild Siberian night becomes a cathedral of light, where every creature pauses, awed by the beauty that arcs overhead. Gap threes. When the aurora finally fades, retreating to the horizon, the land is hushed again. But the memory of the lights lingers, in the hush of the snow, in the brightness of animal eyes, in the silent promise of another night beneath the celestial tapestry. As dawn breaks on the tundra, the first pale rays of sun stretch over a world in transition. The Siberian wilderness is a master of transformation. Here the cycle of seasons is both relentless and profound. In the lingering grip of winter, snow lies thick and unyielding, muffling sound and movement. Arctic hares don their white coats, blending seamlessly into the frozen landscape, while ptarmigans shuffle beneath snow-laden branches, their feathers fluffed for warmth. Beneath the ice, beavers remain sheltered in their lodges, sustained by secret caches of bark and twigs. Then, as the sun climbs higher and the days lengthen, a subtle thaw begins. Rivulets of meltwater carve paths through the snow, pooling in the lowlands. Brown bears, roused by the promise of warmth, emerge from their dens, shaggy and lean. They amble along riverbanks, searching for the first shoots of green and the return of salmon to the streams. Spring unfurls in bursts of life. Larch trees shed their needles, replaced by soft new growth. Migratory birds, cranes, geese and swans, return in raucous flocks, their wings painting the sky with hope. The musk deer sheds its thick winter coat, favoring agility as it bounds through awakening forests. Fox kits tumble from their dens, learning the art of the hunt amid a chorus of birdsong and the hum of insects. As summer matures, the landscape transforms into a mosaic of emerald and gold. Wetlands teem with frogs and dragonflies, while reindeer graze on lush grasses and wildflowers. Wolf packs prowl the forest edge, teaching their pups the ways of stealth and endurance. The sun lingers late, barely dipping below the horizon, gifting the land with long, luminous nights. But the days inevitably shorten. Autumn breathes a chill into the air, leaves blush crimson and gold before falling. Squirrels scurry to bury nuts and seeds, red squirrels and chipmunks preparing for the lean months ahead. Stoats trade their brown summer pelts for winter white, and owls hoard the last of the season's bounty. The first snow arrives quietly, dusting the taiga in white. Rivers freeze, and the world slows once more. The animals retreat, some to hibernate, others to brave the cold with thickened fur and sharpened instincts. The cycle is complete. In this land of extremes, survival is written in adaptation. Every creature, every tree, every stone bears witness to the endless turning of the wheel of seasons. And as the aurora returns to the night sky, the story begins anew, etched in ice and thaw, in silence and song.